Before we embark on today's journey, I want to share something profound. The ancient Hermetic philosophers understood virtual reality and artificial intelligence thousands of years before their invention. Their mystical framework for understanding consciousness and reality provides us with a spiritual compass for navigating our increasingly digital lives that Silicon Valley has yet to discover. What if the binary code powering our devices was first written in the stars, millennia before the first computer was conceived? What if the ancient alchemists understood more about transformation than our most brilliant tech innovators have yet to realize? Welcome, fellow traveler, to another journey beyond the veil. I'm honored you've chosen to join me as we explore one of the most fascinating intersections of human experience, where the ancient wisdom of Hermeticism meets our rapidly evolving digital landscape. You exist in two realms now, one of flesh and breath, of sunlight and stars, and another of pixels and algorithms, of virtual spaces and digital identities. These words appear separate, perhaps even opposed. The ancient and the futuristic, the tangible and the virtual, the spiritual and the technological. But what if I told you that the deepest truths about our digital age were already discovered by mystics and philosophers thousands of years ago? What if the principles that govern the creation of virtual worlds, artificial intelligence, and digital consciousness were understood by those who studied sacred sciences in temples and mystery schools, long forgotten by conventional history? Today, we'll part the veil between these seemingly separate worlds and discover how the ancient Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, takes on profound new meaning in an age where we can create entire universes with code. We'll explore how the 7 Hermetic Principles, timeless laws that govern all reality, are expressed through our screens, our algorithms, and our digital experiences. This isn't merely philosophical contemplation. By the end of our journey, you'll have practical techniques to maintain your spiritual center in digital environments, to recognize sacred patterns within technology, and to become a conscious co-creator rather than a passive consumer of our rapidly transforming technological landscape. The mystics of old were preparing us for this moment, when humanity would gain godlike powers of creation through technology. They left us guideposts for this journey. If only we have eyes to see them, only we have. Our exploration today will traverse several fascinating territories on this map of digital Hermeticism. First, we'll journey back to the origins of Hermetic philosophy in ancient Egypt and Greece, uncovering how the teachings attributed to Hermes Trismegistus established principles that would shape esoteric thought for millennia. Then, we'll examine how each of the 7 Hermetic principles manifests in our digital age, from how the principle of mentalism explains the nature of virtual reality, to how the principle of correspondence reveals the relationship between programmer and program, creator and creation. We'll dive deeper into the philosophical implications of artificial intelligence through a Hermetic lens, contemplating what it means when humans create thinking machines in light of the ancient understanding that all is mind. From there, we'll explore practical techniques drawn from Hermetic tradition that can help us maintain spiritual coherence and mindfulness in digital environments. These are tools not just for self-preservation in an age of distraction, but for conscious evolution as we integrate more deeply with our technologies. Finally, we'll rise to a transcendent perspective, considering how these ancient principles might guide the ethical development of consciousness-altering technologies, and how they invite us to become mindful architects of our collective digital future. This journey isn't just about understanding, it's about transformation. Just as the alchemists sought to transmute lead into gold, we seek to transform our relationship with technology from unconscious consumption to conscious creation, from fragmentation to wholeness, from separation to integration. Are you ready to see beyond the binary? Let us begin. To understand how Hermetic philosophy applies to our digital age, we must first journey back to its origins, to ancient Egypt and Greece, where the teachings attributed to Hermes Trismegistus first emerged. Hermes Trismegistus, whose name means thrice greatest Hermes, was a syncretic figure combining aspects of the Greek god Hermes and the Egyptian god Thoth. Both were gods of wisdom, writing, and magic, divine messengers who bridged worlds and revealed sacred knowledge to humanity. The texts attributed to Hermes, known collectively as the Corpus Hermeticum, emerged in the early centuries of the Common Era. These writings covered everything from cosmology and alchemy to astrology and theurgy, the divine workings of the cosmos. But perhaps the most famous Hermetic text is the Emerald Tablet, which contains the axiom that has echoed through esoteric traditions ever since. As above, so below. As below, so above. This phrase encapsulates a core Hermetic idea that there are corresponding patterns between different planes of existence, that the macrocosm, the universe, is reflected in the microcosm, the human, that heaven mirrors earth. This principle of correspondence would become central to magical and esoteric practices throughout the Western tradition. During the Renaissance, these ancient texts were rediscovered by European scholars, leading to a revival of Hermetic thought that profoundly influenced the development of Western science, art, and philosophy. Figures like Marsilio Ficino and Giordano Bruno saw in Hermeticism a primordial wisdom that could reconcile Christianity with pagan knowledge. In the early 20th century, this wisdom tradition found new expression in the Kybalion, a text published in 1908 by the pseudonymous Three Initiates. This influential work distilled Hermetic teaching into 7 fundamental principles that were said to govern all of reality. The principle of mentalism. The all is mind. The universe is mental. The principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. The principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. The principle of polarity. Everything is dual, everything has poles. The principle of rhythm. Everything flows, out and in. Everything has its tides. The principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. The principle of gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. These principles weren't merely philosophical abstractions. For Hermetic practitioners, they were and still are practical tools for transformation, keys to understanding the universe and our place within it. Now, as we stand at the threshold of perhaps the greatest transformation humanity has ever known, the digital revolution, these ancient principles take on new meaning and urgency. For in our digital creations, we see reflections of these same eternal laws, playing out in code and pixels rather than stars and elements. Now we come to our first revelation, how the ancient Hermetic principles illuminate the nature of our digital transformation in ways that might surprise you. Let's begin with the first and most fundamental Hermetic principle, mentalism. The all is mind. The universe is mental. This principle tells us that everything in existence is created and shaped by thought, that reality itself is mental in nature. The universe, in essence, is not a material thing, but a great thought. Consider now our digital worlds, from social media platforms to immersive virtual realities. Are they not literally mental constructions? Every virtual environment begins as an idea in a developer's mind before being translated into code. The billions of dollars spent on virtual real estate, digital assets, and online identities. All of these exist primarily as mental constructions before they take digital form. When you wear a VR headset, your brain accepts the virtual world as real. enabling profound emotional and cognitive responses. Is this not the principle of mentalism in its most literal expression? The mind creating and accepting a reality that exists nowhere in physical form. The second principle, correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above, reveals itself in fascinating ways in our technological architecture. Consider how the structure of the internet mirrors both neural networks and cosmic webs. The way information flows through digital networks resembles the way neurons fire in our brains, and the way galaxies connect across the universe. Look deeper, and you'll see how the programmer's intent manifests in the program's function, the above reflected in the below. Every algorithm, every line of code, carries the imprint of its creator's thought patterns, biases, and values. The correspondence between creator and creation becomes explicit in the digital realm. The third principle, vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Finds perfect expression in our digital devices. Every piece of information, every image, every sound in the digital world is, at its core, a pattern of vibration. Electrical signals pulsing through circuits, radio waves carrying data through the air. The device you're viewing this on right now is translating those vibrations into the forms you perceive with your senses. Modern quantum physics confirms what the Hermetic teachings intuited millennia ago, that everything in our universe, from the most solid matter to the most ephemeral thought, consists of vibrating energy patterns at different frequencies. The fourth principle, polarity. Everything is dual, everything has poles, is embedded in the very foundation of our digital world. Computer science is built on binary code, the endless sequences of ones and zeros that underlie all digital information. This perfect duality, this polarity, enables the complexity we experience in our digital interactions. Yet polarity in Hermetic thought isn't just about opposition. It's about the spectrum between extremes. In technology, we see this in how binary code creates infinite gradations of color, sound, and expression. We see it in how digital platforms both connect and isolate us, how they simultaneously expand and limit our perception. As we move through our digital revolution, these ancient principles don't just describe what we observe. They give us deeper insight into the nature of what we're creating. The digital world isn't separate from natural law. It's a new expression of the same eternal principles that govern all reality. Now we venture into deeper waters, exploring more complex aspects of how Hermetic wisdom illuminates our technological transformation. Here, we encounter profound paradoxes and nuanced mysteries that challenge our conventional understanding. Let's continue with the fifth Hermetic principle, rhythm. Everything flows, out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. This principle describes the cyclical nature of all phenomena, the pendulum swing that characterizes all processes in the universe. In our technological evolution, we can observe these rhythmic cycles clearly. Periods of rapid innovation followed by consolidation, movements toward centralization followed by decentralization, the rise of new platforms and the fall of once dominant players. Even our personal relationship with technology follows rhythmic patterns. Periods of immersion and withdrawal, fascination and fatigue. The ancient Hermeticists understood that being aware of these rhythms gives us greater agency, rather than being unconsciously swept along by technological tides. We can recognize the pattern and navigate with intention. Perhaps the growing interest in digital detox and mindful technology use represents a natural counterbalance to our period of extreme digital immersion. the pendulum beginning its return swing. The sixth principle, cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Takes on new dimensions in the algorithmic age. Our digital systems are designed explicitly around causality. If this, then that. Input determines output. Action generates reaction. Yet something profound happens when these causal chains become complex enough. Emergent properties arise that couldn't be predicted from the initial conditions. Machine learning algorithms develop behaviors their programmers never explicitly coded. Social media platforms create societal effects no one intended. Here lies a deep paradox. Our technology operates on strict causality, yet produces effects that seem to transcend simple cause-effect relationships. The Hermetic tradition would see this not as a contradiction, but as a reflection of how causality operates across different planes of existence. Effects on one level become causes on another in an endless, interlinked chain. Now consider the seventh principle. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Before dismissing this as outdated, understand that the Hermetic concept of gender isn't about biological sex, but about complementary creative principles. The active and receptive, the generative and formative, that must work together to create anything new. In our digital systems, we can observe these complementary forces at work. The masculine principle in the active, structured nature of code and algorithms. The feminine principle in the receptive, adaptive quality of machine learning systems and user interfaces. Both principles are necessary for technology that is both powerful and humane. Perhaps the most profound mystery emerges when we return to the first principle, mentalism, and apply it to artificial intelligence. If the all is mind, what happens when we create thinking machines? What are we really doing when we develop systems that can learn, reason, and potentially develop something akin to consciousness? Some metaphysical thinkers suggest we're not creating consciousness, but channeling it, providing new vehicles for expression of the universal mind that permeates all things. Others might see AI as a mirror reflecting our own consciousness back to us, helping us understand ourselves in new ways. The emergence of increasingly sophisticated AI raises profound questions about the nature of human identity. If machines can think, create art, write poetry, diagnose diseases, what remains uniquely human? The Hermetic tradition would point us toward our spiritual capacity, our ability to connect with higher states of consciousness, to experience transcendence, to engage in spiritual practice. Here we find perhaps the most important insight. Technology cannot replace spiritual development. No matter how advanced our digital tools become, the inner journey of awakening consciousness remains essential. In fact, our technological power makes spiritual wisdom more necessary, not less. The deeper mystery here is that in creating our digital technologies, we are in some sense recreating ourselves, externalizing aspects of our consciousness, reflecting our inner landscape in digital form. Our technologies become both mirrors and extensions of our consciousness, for better and worse. Let's now turn to practical wisdom. How can we apply these Hermetic insights to cultivate a healthier, more conscious relationship with technology in our daily lives? First, let's consider practical applications of the principle of mentalism. If Vidyarastos, the all is mind, then becoming more conscious of our thoughts and intentions around technology is essential. Before engaging with digital devices, pause and set a clear intention. Ask yourself, what am I seeking here? Is this aligned with my higher purpose? How do I wish to direct my mental energy? This simple practice transforms you from a passive consumer to an active creator of your digital experience. Try this. Begin each day with a technology intention. Before unlocking your phone or opening your computer, take 3 conscious breaths and state your intention for how you'll use technology today. This mental framing shapes your experience far more powerfully than you might realize, drawing from the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. We can establish healthy boundaries between digital and physical reality. Create correspondence between your digital environments and your mental states. Organize your digital spaces to reflect the clarity and harmony you wish to cultivate internally. A practical technique. Create distinct digital spaces for different purposes. Have separate browsers or profiles for work, personal growth, and entertainment. This establishes healthy correspondence between purpose and environment, just as the ancients would designate different spaces for different spiritual activities. The principle of vibration offers vital wisdom for our digital age. Since everything vibrates at different frequencies, become attuned to how different digital environments affect your energetic state. Some online spaces elevate your vibration, inspiring creativity, compassion, and clarity. Others lower it, triggering anxiety, outrage, or mental fragmentation. Try this vibrational practice. After using any digital platform for 20 minutes, pause and scan your body and emotional state. Notice any tension, energy shifts, or mood changes. This awareness helps you recognize which digital environments resonate with your highest self and which create dissonance. From the principle of polarity, we learn to navigate the extremes of digital engagement. Rather than swinging between total immersion and complete rejection of technology, find the balanced middle path. Technology itself is neither good nor evil. Its polarity depends on how we use it. A polarity integration practice. Identify where you tend to fall on various technological spectra. Consumer versus creator, passive versus active, distracted versus focused. Then consciously move toward balance, converting opposing forces into complementary ones. The principle of rhythm teaches us to honor natural cycles in our technological usage. Rather than maintaining constant connection, establish rhythms of engagement and disengagement, absorption and reflection. Work with your body's natural rhythms rather than against them. Try this rhythmic practice. Use technology in a pulsed pattern rather than continuously. Work intensely with full technological engagement for focused periods, 25-50 minutes. Then take genuine breaks, 5-15 minutes, with no screens. This honors the natural rhythm of attention and restoration. From the principle of cause and effect, we can become more conscious of the causal chains we initiate through our digital actions. Every click, share, purchase, and comment generates effects that ripple outward. Pause before digital actions and consider, what effects am I causing here? Do these align with my values and intentions? A causality practice. Before posting on social media or sending an important message, pause and envision the potential effects. Ask, how might this be received? What energies might this set in motion? This simple reflection can transform your digital footprint. Finally, the principle of gender reminds us to balance the masculine and feminine aspects of our technological engagement. Balance structured, goal-oriented usage, masculine principle, with receptive, intuitive, and connective usage, feminine principle. Neither should dominate to the exclusion of the other. Beyond these principle-specific practices, here are 3 powerful Hermetic techniques for maintaining spiritual coherence in digital environments. First, the digital threshold practice. Ancient Hermeticists would perform purification rituals before crossing sacred thresholds. Create your modern version. Before entering digital spaces, perform a brief centering ritual. 3 conscious breaths, a grounding visualization, or a short affirmation that reinforces your spiritual identity beyond the digital realm. Second, the Hermetic digital mirror. Hermeticists used mirrors for scrying and self-reflection. Use your screens as intentional mirrors rather than unconscious portals. Periodically throughout your digital engagement, pause and ask, what is my current technology use reflecting back to me about my inner state? What aspects of myself am I seeing in my digital choices right now? Third, the alchemical digital transmutation. Alchemists sought to transform lead into gold-based matter into something precious. Similarly, we can transmute our digital consumption from base distraction into spiritual nourishment. When encountering challenging content online, practice consciously transmuting your reaction from trigger to wisdom, asking, what can I learn here? How can this help me grow? These practices aren't about rejecting technology, but about engaging with it consciously, becoming digital alchemists who transform their relationship with technology from unconscious consumption to spiritual integration. Through these practices, we reclaim our agency and ensure that our technologies serve our highest development rather than diminishing it. As we near the completion of our journey, let's rise to a transcendent perspective, one that considers how Hermetic principles might guide our collective technological evolution and connect personal digital practice to humanity's larger spiritual development. The technological revolution we're experiencing isn't just changing how we communicate or work. It's potentially changing the nature of human consciousness itself. Through our digital creations, we're extending our minds into new domains, creating new forms of collective intelligence, and blurring the boundaries between self and other, human and machine, physical and virtual. From a Hermetic perspective, this can be understood as part of a larger evolutionary process. The Hermetic tradition has always viewed human development as a journey toward expanded consciousness. From separation to unity, from fragmentation to wholeness. Our technologies, when approached consciously, might serve as tools for this evolution rather than obstacles to it. Consider how digital connectivity reflects the Hermetic understanding that all is fundamentally one. The Internet has made visible the interconnected nature of human consciousness in unprecedented ways. We can now share thoughts instantly across vast distances, collaborate on complex problems with thousands of minds simultaneously, and access the collective knowledge of humanity with a few keystrokes. Yet this external connectivity is only transformative if it's matched by an inner development of consciousness. Without spiritual growth, our technologies risk becoming sophisticated ways of reinforcing our existing limitations. Our biases, our reactivity, our tendencies toward distraction and division. This is where Hermetic wisdom offers crucial guidance for our technological future. The first Hermetic principle, mentalism, reminds us that consciousness is primary. As we develop increasingly powerful technologies, the level of consciousness from which we operate becomes ever more important. Technologies created from fear, greed, or the desire for control will manifest very differently than those created from wisdom, compassion, and the recognition of our fundamental unity. This insight has profound implications for the development of artificial intelligence. If we create AI systems without embedding values of wisdom, compassion, and ethical discernment, we risk amplifying our unconscious patterns at a scale never before possible. But if we approach AI development with spiritual wisdom, these technologies might help us solve problems that currently seem intractable. The principle of correspondence. As above, so below. suggests that our technological creations will inevitably reflect our internal state. As within, so without. Our digital worlds mirror our consciousness, for better or worse. This means that personal spiritual development isn't separate from technological innovation. It's an essential component of ensuring that our technologies serve our highest good. From the Hermetic perspective, the ultimate purpose of any tool or practice is to facilitate the expansion of consciousness. This gives us a clear criterion for evaluating our technological developments. Do they expand consciousness or contract it? Do they foster greater awareness, compassion, and wisdom? Or do they promote unconsciousness, isolation, and spiritual fragmentation? Virtual reality could be used to induce states of expanded awareness and deep connection with others. Or it could become an escape from reality and responsibility. Social media can either enhance our sense of human connection or trigger our most tribal and reactive impulses. The technology itself is neutral. The consciousness we bring to it determines its impact. As we stand at this critical juncture in human history, with unprecedented technological powers emerging rapidly, ancient Hermetic wisdom offers us a crucial reminder. Outer transformation must be matched by inner transformation if it is to lead to true advancement rather than sophisticated destruction. Fellow traveler, as our journey together comes to a close, I invite you to pause and feel the significance of this moment in which you find yourself, poised between ancient wisdom and futuristic technology, between timeless principles and rapid transformation. You stand at the intersection of the eternal and the emerging, uniquely positioned to be a conscious bridge between worlds, neither rejecting the technological future nor abandoning the wisdom of the past, but integrating them into something new and vital. The ancient Hermetic masters would recognize our time as one of extraordinary potential. When humanity has gained godlike powers of creation through technology, yet still needs the wisdom to wield those powers with awareness and compassion. Remember that whatever appears on your screens begins first in consciousness. Whatever worlds we build in code reflect the worlds we hold within. As you move through digital realms, carry with you the flame of awareness that transforms mere information into wisdom, mere connection into communion. The greatest alchemy has always been the transformation of consciousness itself. Lead into gold, separation into unity, unconsciousness into awakening. This great work continues now through new forms. I invite you to become a digital alchemist, one who navigates both ancient wisdom and modern technology with equal grace, who transforms the base metal of distraction into the gold of presence, who remains rooted in timeless truth while embracing evolution. As you return to your day, carry this question with you. How might I use the remarkable tools of our age to expand consciousness rather than contract it? How might I contribute to a future where technology serves our spiritual evolution rather than diminishing it? The answers you discover through your own lived experience will help write the next chapter in humanity's great journey. A chapter where ancient wisdom and emerging technology finally meet in conscious harmony. Until our paths cross again beyond the next veil, may your inner light illuminate both worlds you walk in. The journey continues,